Welcome to another Dolphin Financial Radio Show. This is going to be a special show at the end of the year 2021, and it's going to be special because we're going to revisit a show we did a year ago in which yours truly made some predictions. Hence the crystal ball over here. And we're going to be holding myself accountable. Actually, Tony Shore is going to be holding me accountable. He's going to be holding me accountable for what I said a year ago.
Yes.
We're going to go to the videotape and we're going to talk about whether or not those trends came true and if I was off the mark. But for those that are listening saying, well, I don't want to hear about what happened in the past. I'm all about the future, baby. Well, there's a special holiday treat for you. At the end of the show, Tony is going to provide his own review of 2021 by giving us his top 5 albums that were released in 2021. So awesome. For the music listeners, there's a special treat. For those that are here for the financial advice, we're going to get right into it. So Tony.
Yes.
Do you remember doing a show that talked about the top 5 trends for 2021?
Dan, I don't remember what show we did last week, but no. Yes, I do remember that show. I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember that show, and it will come back to me. I do remember doing that. Yeah, you went over what's going to be happening in 2021.
Yes. It was just about a year ago we did this
almost
show.
Exactly a year ago at the end of 2020.
Well, what I'm going to do, just to start us off, is I'm going to play a little clip of what we said, okay?
Okay.
And this way you can hear it, and the listeners can hear it, and then we can discuss it. I did the top 5 trends for 2021, not knowing a thing. We did it in December.
Right.
So we'll see how we did. So hold on, let's put that on and hear what I had to say, and you, a year ago.
I think cryptocurrency is going to really, I know that it's been trendy the last few years, but I think 2021 is going to be the year that people start to say, oh, wait, this isn't, my nephew doing it.
Really?
It's going to be legitimate worldwide. Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't know about the DeFi. I didn't know like PayPal or bigger companies actually investing in cryptocurrency. So I didn't know a few of these things, but this is the biggest surprise on the list, and you made it number 1. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with all your other trends for 2021 and how they're going to impact retirement. I mean, work from home, non-traditional employment, non-traditional investing, taxes. That all made sense to me. The cryptocurrency one, it came out of left field, and you like to do that. Mm-hmm. It's the punch that we weren't expecting that's going to get us, right? But I don't know if I totally agree. I mean, cryptocurrency, I got such a bad vibe from it, and it seems so trendy and shifty and iffy. But, what you say makes sense. So this will be an interesting one to watch in 2021 to see if you're right on this one.
There we have it, Tony.
Yep. Yeah. That's obviously I was right and you were wrong, right?
See, but you got to remember, I'm the one with the crystal ball here. Notice it's on the beachy scene, so still in Florida.
It's roughly the same shape as your head, Dan.
The Wendols are known to have quite big melons.
And I have another question about your background today. Is the shine on that crystal ball? Is there more shine coming from that crystal ball or my forehead right now? I can't.
We got to work on that.
Yeah.
You still have it. We still have more hair than the crystal ball, so that's the good news.
Makeup person once again didn't show up today.
So Tony, were my predictions wrong or right? So all I want to do is go from the top 5 real quick, go through whether or not we think they were wrong or right, and then we'll get into your part, which is the music, right? So,
sure.
Number 5, I said, were people were going to continue to work from home. I mean, that wasn't much of a stretch because people were working from home, but the pandemic had been ending, right? We were moving away, and I said people were going to stay home and maybe commute less, and I could say that for myself. I do a lot more at home last year or this year, I should say, in 2021 than I did in all the other years.
Yeah.
2020, I did stay home a little bit, but not. I mean, 2021, I felt, you know, I felt it was a lot of people were easing back into it, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh no, they're going to let me stay for another 6 months or something like that."
Yeah. Well, for me, I've been working from home more this year. It didn't go back to the way it was pre-COVID. So you were spot on this one, I think.
All right, so we're going to give a thumbs up to that.
Thumbs up.
You have a
Working from
gong
home.
music for a good. What do you have for good? Like a correct answer.
A correct answer?
I need
Boy,
some sort of.
I have a
audio
lot for
affirmation.
I was only prepared, Dan. I've got a lot of sounds set up here, but they're all for wrong answers. So that's they're like, oh,
Yeah,
nope,
that's because
not.
you. That's because you just have a negative personality. Tony.
Well, how about
Yes,
you were
dream.
correct? Dan
dream
was
sequence.
correct. Dan
We
was
should have played that
correct. means-
before we went back on that video. Go back in time.
or
Thank you. All right. Tony,
Congrat-
hold the applause. Hold the applause.
congratulations, Dan. You were
All
correct.
right. Prediction number 4. We did a top 5 countdown. The number 4 prediction was non-traditional work will increase. So in this part, I was
What do
talking
you mean
about,
by that?
We talked about influencers. We talked about side hustles. I talked about how people were going to not go back to doing what they were doing with their traditional job, and they were going to stay home or try something new. They were going to do something that they weren't used to, and they were going to try to do some other type of job. And what I don't know if there's stats on that, but I do know a lot of people didn't go back to work. I do know
Yeah.
there's a work shortage.
No, I think the non-traditional work has increased. I would say you were correct on that. And so for the correct answers,
All right.
that's a good one. The orchestra hit.
Yes.
The orchestra takes a hit, so to speak.
So did you start a side hustle, Tony, in 2021?
I continue.
You're always doing side hustles. That's right. That's right.
I continue my side hustles. I do a few. I do voiceover work on the side, outside the show, and I do that. I help work events. My buddy is the VP of events for a big window company. Once in a while, if he's at a big fair or home show and I'm free on a weekend, I'll go help him out.
Did you find that a lot of your colleagues, friends, people you meet with were starting new things, doing stuff on the side that maybe they weren't normally thinking about in previous years?
Yep, and our show editor and audio guru Mitch, who helps produce the show, Mitch Heil, he has a side hustle that he really developed during the last year and really kind of got more serious about and really worked hard on his side hustle. So, and I know a few others too. Yeah, more and more people are doing that. So I think it
so.
has increased quite a bit.
So that's 2 for 2. You know, if this keeps happening, Tony, my head's going to be bigger than this crystal ball. And to the listeners, they can't tell what we're talking about, but the viewers know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you don't have far to go with that, Dan. Don't worry about it.
Okay, my number 3 prediction for 2021 was that non-traditional investing will grow. And this, we talked about your son with Robinhood. We talked about passive income. We talked about Twitter stocks with and we didn't really talk about the meme stocks and GameStop because that didn't happen until January. So
I guess that would count for non-traditional investing, right?
Right. It was the most people buy stocks and bonds and stuff like that, but I was talking about people investing in crypto, people investing in different ways and doing it differently. And we talked about Robinhood, how wow, all of a sudden anybody can pick these little stock no one hear of, and they do free trading. And sure enough, the very next month, you remember GameStop? Remember that whole fiasco where the short squeeze?
Yep, where they were going to short GameStop, and so people on the internet got together and said, "No, we're gonna ruin it for them." I think that was incredible.
And they changed it to meme stocks, so people were buying crazy things like now Dogecoin or whatever it was, and totally non-traditional. This is way out in left field, and that took over. And I was surprised at how much it took over so quickly too. I was like, I think this is going to happen at some point, but man, did it hit hard. That
Yeah,
was
you were spot on that, Dan. I have to give it to you. That really took off exactly as you said it would, maybe even a little quicker, like you say. That was amazing. That whole GameStop thing, where they stopped the hedge fund managers from shorting it. That was amazing.
right. And now it's changed things a little bit for everybody.
It has. It
what's going to
has.
be the next one, and people are walking on eggshells. I'm wondering if I would have done this show had I not been right so far. If we was just this show,
when you said here's what we're gonna do, I'm like, well, obviously he thinks he was right on all accounts, or he wouldn't be doing the show. So I'm interested to get to one. You have been so far. It's 3 for 3. So you're
right.
you're batting 1,000 so far, but we may come to a point of contention here.
I think this is the one we're going to come to the point of contention.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the number 2 prediction. This was like my second most confident level prediction, was that we're going to have some major tax changes.
Yeah, that did not happen.
My thought was new president, new tax code, new tax laws. Now, to my defense, we had some interesting tax changes going on. We had the enhanced child tax credit. We had the stimulus payments.
Almost $6 trillion our government spent in stimulus spending.
Right. And so these aren't tax changes, but getting that money, that was a tax change, getting the enhanced child tax credit in advance. Normally, you write it off on your taxes. Now they were sending checks out in 2021.
It's kind of the opposite, though, I think, of where you were headed with the
I was talking about how the government was going to start collecting more money.
Right. And you did that because you foresaw and saw what they'd been spending. And so I agreed with you at the time, saying, obviously, with this, the Democrats coming in, new presidency, he's going to turn around the tax cuts. He's going to take those away and put in increased taxes to pay for all this. Plus, we knew he wanted to spend trillions more, right?
Right.
And so far, he has proposed that. However, rather than deal with it and raise taxes to pay for it, he's kicked that can down the road. And so I think it might be I think it's a safe prediction for maybe next year. But it didn't happen.
Speaking of that, I'm going to do a show in the first week of January that's going to predict 2022. Okay. So we can stay tuned for that.
We'll see how well you do with that.
A couple of other tax things that happened that were surprising. Well, not necessarily surprising, but that were a little along the lines of tax changes. RMDs came back in 2021. So those were suspended in 2020. So you didn't have to take your required minimum. Now they're back. 2021. That wasn't too crazy. What I thought was crazy.
But the age is now 72. So they raised the age
is 72.
So you don't have to take it as soon. You used to have to,
That's right.
When you hit age 70, you had to take money out of your retirement accounts a certain amount each year is what you're talking about when you're talking about required minimum distributions.
So that changed back to collecting more money. And then the other one, which was very strange, in 2020, the healthcare subsidies didn't have to get paid back. So if you underestimated your income, the government gave you a subsidy, and then you shouldn't have gotten it. They said, don't worry about it. You can keep it. That was
what
crazy.
The heck? Keep
but
it.
In 2021, that's what they said. They're going to make you pay any overage back. So we'll see because tax season is up ahead. But
yeah.
So tax, I'm gonna give myself a thumbs down on this one. I think I'll let you use the buzzer. I'll let you do it just so you feel like I'm not running all over the show here with. So, Tony, do you remember what my number one prediction was? I just showed you the clip.
Well, sure. Yeah. The whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency is going to explode.
I said it was because when we did our first show on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin was going for the first time to hit 20,000. Do you remember that? That was like 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We did that show. If I have it, I'll put it up here. And then last year, the show we did a year ago, I said, I think it's going to explode again because it had gone down from 20,000, then right back up. So when we did the show a year ago, Bitcoin was at like 20,000, I think. And then sure enough, man, did that take off this year. Now it's come back down in the last couple of months, or weeks even.
Yeah.
But I think cryptocurrency has been fully adopted by a lot of people now. It's not just your son that's doing it.
I heard, and this is more toward the end of the year, but I've heard more and more legitimate financial professionals, such as yourself, more folks like you, Dan, who are licensed, and you're a financial services professional, financial planners, and Wall Street individuals talking about cryptocurrency in a serious manner and not dismissive or ignoring it. So I think it is here to stay, and I think it did grow during the year. I mean, if you're looking at growth just based on numbers, yes, maybe it has gone up since then. I don't know if it exploded in quite the way you thought it would, but it has, I think, become more respected, if that's the right word, or mainstream. Yes, it's become a little more mainstream. I don't think it's all the way there yet. That's for sure.
It's not all the way there, but what also happened, which I wasn't exactly predicting, I thought there would be more adoption, which there has been, but I was not expecting to see stuff like Shiba Inu. We did a show on that guy that in England that turned 8,000 into like a million, I think it was.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Dogecoin and all these altcoins, as they call it, to come out of the
meme
woodwork.
coins, like Dogecoin. Yeah.
That, I didn't expect that, but I did expect there to be a lot more people in it and adopting it. So it just makes sense that there's more things going on. But that was quite, and that was my number one, and I think it was the number one talking point for the 2021. I do think.
Yeah.
Although at the end of the year here, the big talking point was inflation. So,
yeah, I was just going to call you on that. I was just going to say, come on, the big financial talking point that everybody is talking about and focused on is inflation for 2021.
That's right now.
Inflation was the story in 2021.
If you prorate the talking points for inflation versus the cryptocurrency, I think cryptocurrency wins if you compare the whole year. Because inflation, we've only been talking about
6 months. 6 months.
Okay,
Brian.
all right. So inflation should have been on my top 5. It wasn't.
But no, you were pretty spot on. You really the only one you were off on was the taxes.
Yeah,
the big tax changes.
I was pretty confident. I was going to make that my number one last year. I just, and what it comes down to, Tony, is gridlock in the Congress. You got Republicans saying one thing, Democrats saying another. Nothing gets done, and that's okay. That helps the economy. That helps the stock market at least. Inactivity, status quo is good. Yeah. So we've had nothing happen.
I think it's a political game, and they're worried about midterms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's I think after the midterms, maybe you might see more movement. So maybe 2022 is the year, but even so, I would say if it's going to happen, it's going to be in 2023. That's my prediction. But I'm basing my prediction on what I read, what my knowledge of politics. I'm not a financial guy like you.
Do they still have politics section in Mad Magazine? Is that?
Because you think that's the only thing I read. Just because I look like Alfred E. Newman doesn't mean.
What me worry, Tony? What me worry?
What me worry? Never.
Never. Like I said, I'm going to do a 2022 prediction at the beginning of January, so look for that. But I
can't wait for that show. That's going to be a good show. Yeah.
I like it too. And then I like holding myself accountable, right? Like a lot of people, you see them on CNBC, Fox Business, whatever you watch. Oh, this is what's going to happen. And I like to get every one of those people back in 6 months and say, you said this was going to happen. Look what really happened, right? They don't do that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
The next day, they're forgotten,
Yeah, they can say whatever they want because a year later, they're not going to bring it back up again.
No.
Unless they were right.
And then
they might show the clip. Yeah. See, I said this. This happened.
Right. Exactly.
Imagine if we held Jim Cramer to everything he said on that show.
Right.
Yeah, or some of those folks.
But
I
at
get a
least
kick out of it.
he's given his opinion. At least he's at
Yeah.
least there's a
No, I'm
disclaimer
not.
not to do anything
Yeah.
crazy on his on his
Don't be at all like Jim because he's insane. That's
Jim
the
Cramer. Like
disclaimer.
when he started, what I was trading, I don't know. I think it was like 2005,
Uh-huh.
maybe. I don't even remember when he first got started. I remember he was like the Shibu Inu of trading when he started because
Yeah.
he would move the market with his predictions. It
Yes.
was crazy. So we would be trading and we would listen to his show and watch the stock market as it was happening after hours.
That's crazy.
Total nonsense. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to give myself a C plus to an A minus in that range. I'll give myself a B.
I think it's a B plus. You only missed one out of 5. Come on, that's
Yeah,
a
I
B
know.
plus.
I'm hard on myself, Tony.
That's
But
good.
I promised the listeners that we were going to have a special holiday treat, and so I'm going to turn it over to you, Tony. I
Yep.
want you. It's not a prediction. I want you to tell me, and this is all going to be your personal opinion now, right? This is your personal opinion,
Right. Right. Yep.
What-
These are my picks for what I feel were the best albums of the year. Yeah.
So we're switching to music because Tony's in his mom's basement. He's got the albums behind him.
This is my basement.
Oh, I
Come
mean,
on.
yeah, sure. Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
So tell us, Tony. Tell us. What do you think? Am I going to know any of these bands?
No. So, absolutely not. I do have eclectic tastes, and I'm always looking for new music. So, my top 5 albums of the year, we'll go through my top 5. I do have a top 21 list, and if listeners want to see my full list and actually hear the top songs from my top 12 records of the year, I always do a top 12 year-end podcast. So I don't know if you mind, Dan, if I plug
No,
my
what is the
during
podcast?
the
I'll
show.
put it up here.
Yep, you can put it up here. It's obviouspop.com. So it's just, I think it's http://www.obviouspop.com. And it's so funny. I had the guys from Devo, the band Devo, do a liner for me, Gerald Casale and Mark Mothersbaugh. And when I told him, he goes, "What's the name of your podcast that you're interviewing us for?" And I said, "Obvious Pop." And then he goes, "Okay, I got a liner for you." When I bent over to tie my shoe, I heard an obvious pop. This is Gerald Casale from Devo.
Was he wearing the hat? Because I
Uh,
saw a picture of you wearing that hat.
Yeah,
For
they
Christmas.
had
I
the
mean, for
hats
Halloween.
on. They had the hats on during the press conference, but afterwards, I got to go back in a private room and talk to them and get them to do some liners for me. I had the mic here. I was like a fanboy because I love Devo. But that said, go to obviouspop.com and listen to my year-end podcast where I actually play songs from each of the top 12 albums, because you're going to hear some of these and go, "Who? What?" So number 5 is a band called Starflyer 59. They're from Seattle. It's a guy named Jason Martin. It's alternative. He's really known in the real indie alternative world, but it's very beautiful and ethereal music. They put out a new record independently this year called Vanity, and it's great. Starflyer 59 Vanity, that's my number 5 album. Now, the number 4 album, some listeners may have heard of this band. They're a punk band called Turnstile, and they really have a huge following in the punk world, but some of those folks were upset because they released an album in 2021 with keyboards, layered vocals, production, and they're known as a punk band. They sound like
Right.
this British punk bands, like the Clash or the Sex Pistols, that kind of influence. So this album is really good. It's called Glow On, and it actually is on a number of music critics' year-end top 10 lists. So that one's out there, but give these a listen. Now, I'm into power pop stuff influenced by the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and there is a guy who's been writing songs for other artists and doing jingles and movie songs named Blue, spelled Bleu, and he's number 3.
Uh-huh.
And now this is a bad play on words, but the name of his record is Six Tape. Six Tape. That's SIX Tape is the name of the record. And that's number 3, but super hooky songs, beautiful music, really fun power pop tunes. Blue, Bleu. Check that out. It's so good. This guy is phenomenal.
Like
I believe he
cordon
lives
bleu. Like they're
like
French.
cordon bleu, but not quite. No. Then number two, a guy I worked with and a great songwriter from Los Angeles area, from Southern California, named Terry Scott Taylor. Now, no one's heard of him listening probably, but he has a huge cult following. And he's been making music since the late 70s and writing songs and producing other people's records. But he has a brand new solo album out. I think it's like, I want to say 30 songs on this record. It's 2 CDs if you buy the physical product.
That's a lot.
And it'll officially be available to download and purchase in the spring of 2022. But he released it for all his supporters in this year. So it's on my list. It's called This Beautiful Mystery. And he's really a heavy reader. He's really into William Blake and G.K. Chesterton and C.S. Lewis and, Lord of the Rings, J.R. Tolkien, Tolkien. So anyway, this guy's great, and he's probably the best lyricist I know. And then at number one, and this is a record and a band you will like, Dan. This one is in your wheelhouse.
Okay.
So if you haven't heard this record, because they're influenced by everybody from Pink Floyd to Radiohead. They're a band out of Atlanta called Manchester Orchestra. Have you heard them?
I have.
Yeah, this band.
I think you mentioned to me before.
Yeah. The name of the album is The Million Mass of God. It's a crazy record, so good, and it's on other people's some pretty major critics' year-end top 10 lists. I mean, if you read Pitchfork or Paste, some of the music sites out there, you'll see this one in a lot of top 10 lists. It was easily the best record of 2021, regardless. Now, you notice I didn't include any top 40. Billie Eilish had a new record out. Olivia Rodriguez. A lot of these are great pop records. I'm just not into top 40 or hip hop or country. So the major artists like Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodriguez and all those, And I'll tell you what, an honorable mention. I got to do this honorable mention.
Britney Spears.
No, but Adele, her new record, amazing.
Oh, I haven't heard it. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not even my style of music, but she is so talented. If you're into popular music or just great vocals, the new Adele it's unbelievable.
So and I appreciate this, Tony. Thank you for sharing this. And those that are watching Obvious Pop, there's on the screen there.
ObviousPop.com.
I got a quick question for you, Tony.
Sure.
You're into music.
Yep.
How come when British singers sing, we don't hear their British accents?
It's
you can a little bit, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be
so
something
when you
there.
listen to the a radio station in Georgia or Alabama, the radio announcer sounds like the same as the radio announcer does in California or in Minnesota,
right,
or Florida. It's the kind of the same thing, but it's a little more like a lot of people who stutter really bad when they sing. No stutter. Singing does something different. And talking all the time on the radio, you kind of train yourself to talk. Some British singers sound very British when they sing, and most do not. But you're right. That is a phenomenon. I don't know the exact answer to that, but it always makes me think of radio announcers because TV and radio personalities usually don't have
Midwest.
they usually don't have a Southern drawl. Even when I lived in Tennessee, it was kind of weird. Now some did, but very few. And it's funny, like isn't it Mel Tillis who stuttered, but when he sang, perfectly normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Mel Tillis. Yeah, but there's been a few of those. Yeah, that they have speech impediments or stutter, but if they sing, no problem. Isn't that weird?
That is weird. I was hoping you know the answer. Well, maybe we'll bring it on the next show. But Tony, we got one more show this year, but thanks for a great year, and I appreciate you sharing it. I wanted people to know that you're really into music. I think they knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, check out Tony's podcast, Obvious Pop.
Yep.
Thanks for a good show, Tony. And thanks for
great one.
I'm going to break my crystal ball out again, so stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you in a week.
All right.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Wendol nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.